Today's video is brought to you by SWAT Magazine, Survival Weapons and Tactics. Subscribe now at the link below or call 1-800-673-4595. SWAT is available in print and digital editions. That's SWATmag.com.
Today I wanted to cover the new British baby, but then couldn't really take it seriously the second someone mentioned the ludicrous idea that he would actually live a normal life. That will never be the case. I thought about covering the meteoric rise of George Zimmerman, from mall cop killer savage race bleeder to superhero, as he, like a crazed mama bear, lifted a Ford Explorer, saving a couple and their 2 children. This was his first public appearance since his acquittal. And what an appearance it was. The headlines. I can see them now. Latino saves white couple, and comprehensive immigration reform passes without a hitch. Then I realized you probably wanted the real news. In today's news and geopolitics, the Middle East looks like Europe before World War I. It's the title of an article in Foreign Policy magazine, written by former U.S. Navy Admiral James Stavridis. The long and short, we'd all be better off if the United States just projected more power in the Middle East. It's a throwback of a sort of ancient dynastic view of civilizations that Senator John McCain, for instance, displayed recently on CNN in an interview with Candy Crowley.
Al-Qaeda's coming back throughout the Middle East region and North Africa. Look at what's happening in Iraq and unraveling there. You can only judge this on the basis of the facts. And the fact is, there's no United States leadership in the Middle East. There's a vacuum there. And when there's a vacuum, bad people fill it. And that's what's happening all over the Middle East.
It's the idea that without central power, the world spins out of control rather than finding its own balance. It's also the modern idea that states rather than small communities couldn't possibly be peaceful and productive if left alone and decentralized, especially in an era of globalization. Unity is prosperity under this view. Admiral Stavridis claims amidst a remarkable meltdown in the region propelled by sectarianism and despair that the Middle East, to analysts, looks like a region in an arc of crisis. To the public, it's just a mess, but sailing away would be a huge mistake. He gives 4 objectives that, in his view, would bring order to the chaos and would avoid another great power war like the one in World War I. Number 1, focus on strong relationships with Israel. And as they are our eyes and ears in intelligence, try not to see things through their lens. That shouldn't be a problem. Number 2, we must work diplomatically in a multilateral context. Nice. That is, after the precondition that Bashar al-Assad of Syria is not to be allowed to rule. About half the planet takes issue with that one. But if it were possible, how would it be accomplished? Evidently, relying on a confab of dubious autocratic regional actors like Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Turkey, Jordan, plus our favored client state Israel, will be essential elements in that design. According to Stavridis, we must rely on this motley crew to tie a cohesive strategy together for freedom and democracy, which has worked out so well thus far. Number 3, cyber warfare. By controlling this non-traditional battlefield, propaganda democracy dealers and digital warriors are politically acceptable and advisable over flag-laden caskets. And number 4, Stavridis recommends we, quote, work on the maritime and strategic resource questions. So much for sequestration. In other words, we need Battle Island there now. Hardware, ladies and gentlemen, hardware. According to Stavridis, like the Balkans in the year leading up to World War I, the Levant and Eastern Mediterranean are a pile of tinder that could ignite a much wider conflict. The thing is, about World War I, that is precisely the war the United States should and had no reason to get involved with. It's the Great War which literally loaded every piece of geopolitical baggage we have had to carry since our entrance into that war under then President Woodrow Wilson. You know, the guy who campaigned on keeping us out. By helping the nations of eternal war, as Thomas Jefferson called them, Europe, American foreign policy out of sheer altruism set the stage for Hitler's rise after Germany was pillaged by Allied forces. By luring Tsarist Russia into a protracted battle, American war subsidies threw that country into communist revolution. thereafter copied in China. By aiding Great Britain and Europe, the region of innumerable tribes and proud ancient civilizations in the Levant, the Eastern Mediterranean, and North Africa were cobbled together into oil fiefdoms for Europe to control. And it was on the wings of the Allied powers Israel was sponsored, and after everyone left, well, here we are. These fabricated Western-styled nation-states have crumbled under the weight of crony capitalism, dictators, and the false allure of the redemptive qualities of democracy, which without the rule of law, civil institutions, and a robust private sphere beyond the reach of oppression, are as lethal as any oligarchy or theocracy. It was World War I when we broke the Westphalian peace balance enjoyed for hundreds of years. We have been paying for it ever since. Admiral Stavridis' prescription is more tinkering in a political economy than we can afford right now. If you enjoyed our content today, follow me on Facebook at The Real Topher Morrison and on Twitter at AMTV News. And for more videos like these, visit amtvmedia.com. This is AMTV, the voice of independence.